All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Meili Show. This is a new experiment. First time we're trying to do this. And this is the whole idea of this podcast slash video, I should say, because we're shooting it, but really we're doing a podcast, is to talk about Asian American issues. There are some outlets right now trying to do this, but I get a sense that they're not really tapping into issues and personalities that we should be talking about and kind of digging deeper. And so we decided, let's do this. And so my name is Meili. Like I said, obviously that's the name of the show. I'm a broadcast journalist who's been doing this for a really long time, and I've been all over the world. But my passion has always been Asian American issues. If you're watching the video, you can see that there's a guy sitting right across from me. Benny. Hey, Benny.
Hey,
How are you? Benny Lo. Now, some of you may know him already. Actually, a lot of you may know who he is already because you probably are readers and followers of his company, NextShark, which you started back in
Oh my God.
Was it 2013?
Yes, 2013.
2013,
yeah.
right?
You know
right?
more than I do now at this point.
No, listen, because I do my research. But Benny and I, we met maybe a year and a half ago or something. It was that function down in Costa Mesa.
I think it was a function. Yeah, some organization.
So our mutual friend told us that we needed to meet because we both were like-minded people in the Asian American community trying to do some things in media, right? To talk about these things that we care about, that we felt like weren't being covered properly. But with NextShark, you're obviously trying to cover these stories that affect us all. Right?
Yeah, we try to focus on, a little bit more like serious topics that I feel like get swept under the rug a little bit.
Yeah.
And as from what I've seen with Asian America, I feel like a lot of us are, fragmented, and for good reason. I mean, a lot of us came from, different generations, from different parts of the world with different cultures, and so naturally it's there.
Because we're not all the same, and that's what the mainstream always thinks. Like they try to clump us together as if we're all the same, similar backgrounds, but we're not.
Monolithic is that word, I think.
Exactly. So you saw the need to kind of try to talk about all these issues that are different, right? With NextShark.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been in the media business since 2011. I mean, I had a company prior to this called newmediarockstars.com, and that was focused on covering digital celebrities, the rise of YouTube and streaming platforms. Growing up, I mean, I've always had like a passion for, Asian American issues. I think many young Asian Americans, I went through a lot of bullying and racism.
I was just going to say, I think that's where we all have that in common, unfortunately.
Yeah,
right?
And everybody has a story, right?
Yeah,
if you go back to that.
I mean, man, I grew up in Dayton, Ohio a long time ago. And that was no fun at times because of the racism. Blatant.
Was there even Asian people there at
that
time?
No. That was one problem. But the other problem was that, it was a long time ago and it was all white. And I might as well have had three heads because that's the way that people would look at me. And I mean, look, we all have this story, right, of being called names, chink, Jap, ching chong chong.
What's the worst story for you that you think you remember?
Oh my God, how long do we have? I mean, seriously,
I know, right?
It's sad to say, but I know we talked about this many times that you also went through this in Northern California, right?
It's very diverse up there too.
Right.
I still went through it, and it was weird. I mean, one of the instances was like, I remember I was in middle school and I was just watching a movie in San Francisco with my friends, and I walked by an old, I thought they looked like a nice elderly couple, and as I was walking by them, the gentleman yelled out, fucking Chinaman.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm like, wow, I was really taken aback by that. And,
right.
I'm like maybe 12 years old at the time, 11 or 12, somewhere around there. So it was very...
So it's going to have a dramatic impact on a young person's, psyche. Yeah. And, makes us feel less than. So, okay, so going now to the current times, or when you started NextShark, so you obviously were affected by that background. And you knew that you had this something in you to want to speak up, right? And give us a platform and talk about these issues that we care about.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And the funny thing was, I've always had a passion for it, and, I've always felt this need where it's like, hey, I don't want whatever happened to me, I don't want other people in the future to suffer through this.
Right.
But I never really thought about building a business around it. And truth be told, NextShark didn't start off as an Asian American site. It was initially focused on business and success for millennials. That's why Shark comes from poker. I mean, poker shark, in a sense where, typically the best player at the table, the most aware at the table. And if you look at a lot of like successful entrepreneurs today, like Tony Hsieh, like Carl Icahn, billionaire, they talk about how poker has had like a positive effect on how they view business and everything like that. And so
I cannot play poker to save my life. So what does that say about me? So
no, it's
that's good. No, I'm glad you're explaining that, because I think a lot of people do wonder where that name comes from.
Yeah, and the next signifies next generation, the next thing. And so, we did it for about 2.5 years. I mean, I started the company with $3,000 of my own money. We've never raised funding or anything, taken a loan or anything like that. And it was a natural progression. And we noticed 2 years in that our Asian-centric content was doing well. And sort of covering more Asian entrepreneurs, Asian faces, tech in Asia, and naturally just listening to readers and getting reader feedback, we just started expanding more and more. So
naturally going that direction. I mean, that tells you something, right? There was this hunger because there was a lack of that kind of platform providing that kind of information and focusing on these stories about Asian Americans, right?
Yeah.
So that must have been really kind of telling for you. Like, wow. Okay.
It's crazy too, because like a lot of people are, I feel like I get more than enough credit than I need for, starting NextShark. But at the same time, like I turn it around and be like, look, I mean, I believed in it, but I didn't know I could turn this into like a business. And, everybody asked, hey, what was the secret to NextShark's success? And it's honestly just very simple. I just listened, honestly. I mean, we listened to our readers on what was important to them and looked at, what issues weren't covered. And, I took all the feedback very seriously, and that's really what it's based off of. So if there's any credit, I feel like the community deserves most of the credit for our
Take
success.
some of it, Benny. Take some credit. Now, the reason why I'm talking to Benny about NextShark and these issues that we care about is because going back to the event that we met at about a year and a half ago, we both were on the same page. And so we have met a couple of times over the last year, kind of casually talking about like, man, what should we do? Maybe there's something we can do together to take it to the next level, right? And that's when we finally were like, all right, let's do a podcast, right? About these things that we are always talking about anyway. And so there was the concept of the show was born. It was Benny's idea to call it the Meili Show. Just FYI, everyone, it's not my ego. It's just, he just thought, okay, why don't we just keep it simple? You're going to be the host.
You're so low key, May. Sometimes we gotta blow you up a little bit more.
Well, thank you, Benny. But still, but anyway, that's why it's called the Meili Show. But I wanted to do this first podcast because we wanted to talk about where we're coming from, right? Your background, my background is that I've been a broadcast journalist for a long time. I'm not even going to say how long because it's been a long time. But I've worked for CNN, CNBC, Oprah. I've had my own talk show called The Meili Show that I started in Singapore because I saw a need of having a platform for the Asian woman in Asia who was starting to rise up and becoming much more independent, much more outspoken, and yet there was no media platform and representation for them. So I think I always was intrigued to create a new platform for these people who didn't have a voice, right? And that's what we're trying to do with this show. Hopefully we'll be successful, but I really think that the time is now.
Yeah, I agree.
We've talked about this, right?
Yeah.
The timing is... I think it's really right now we need to seize this opportunity because we see this movement happening.
You mentioned the blips you're talking about too. Remember
in
your career?
In the past, I've seen these blips of, Asian American issues and, personalities becoming a little bit popular, but then it fades, right? There's no lasting effect. This time around, it started a couple years ago with Crazy Rich Asians, things like that certainly helped. But I feel like this could be sustainable. That there's something different about this time around. And I think it's our community definitely saying we want more and we're demanding more.
Yeah.
Right? I think in the past, Asians have unfortunately stereotypically been a little bit more silent. We've accepted the fact that we're being marginalized and, thrown to the side. And so we just kept our head down and, did whatever we needed to do.
Head down, work hard.
Exactly. That's like, the traditional Asian way, right? But there's something changing. I mean, you feel it. I mean, you're younger than me. You feel it within the younger generation too, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you can speak on this probably better than I can, but even for my lifetime, I mean, I'm 31 now, is that I don't think I've really seen another time when I've seen so much amplification, for Asian Americans. I mean, we've been successful online with, YouTube and, online streaming. We've been, we now see Andrew Yang in politics.
Right.
We've made strides in the medical and STEM tech field for a while now, and entertainment with, Fresh Off the Boat, Crazy Rich Asians, so many.
Yeah.
And so I really, and I agree with you. I really feel like there's a weird feeling that I get, and it's a good one, that I'm like, hey, like there seems to be a really interesting opportunity here now, but we may not know what exactly that is, but I know that we have to start moving.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like there's an organization, a national organization that started recently, and I was meeting with the person that we both know in the initial stages. I remember having this conversation with her. I said, look, this is a really good time to start something that is Asian based. And I said, because it's our time, right? It's our time. And so she took that and turned it into a hashtag for the organization. But that's because I think it resonates with people within our community. It is our time. We've kind of been on the sidelines for too long. We've been considered the other for too long. We've been considered that silent minority for too long, the model minority for too long, And so it's like, it's time to break out of that BS. Right? And just really take a stand.
Amen, sister.
I know, right? Right? And creating that voice and that platform. Again, that's why this podcast is something that I think you and I have been so excited to try, because look, I've done my research and so have you, right? There aren't a lot of outlets right now, right? Mainstream media for sure still isn't focusing on our stories, right? And when they do, it's always like an outsider trying to do the story, right? Without the connection to the community or the culture, right? Yeah. The firsthand connection. Yeah. So there's got to be a level of understanding before you can dive into a story. That doesn't mean like everybody has to be Asian, but still, I think there's a level that you can't reach unless you've lived it and experienced it. Like what we were saying earlier about the racism that we both experienced as kids, right? Unless you've gone through that, you kind of can't, you don't have an idea.
Yeah, you don't really know until it really happens to you.
Yeah.
And you feel that feeling, and time kind of just like stops for a little bit, and you're kind of like, wait, what just kind of happened? What just happened?
Yeah.
And so I think that, I hope that we can speak to that.
I hope so too. So okay, so I'm going to ask you then, what do you hope to achieve through what we're doing here? I mean, what do you envision?
I think that it's the same vision as everything. I mean, a lot of people ask me all the time, say, hey, what do I want to do with NextShark? I mean, do you want to sell this company down the line for a bunch of money and make a bunch of money? And, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm definitely like, I'm an entrepreneur. I am a part capitalist for sure. But at the same time, like, I look at it too as it's what I do as more of like almost an act of service in a sense. I mean, I've had a great career.
You're 31, Benny.
No, I know. I mean, I'm very grateful for, the people I met and everything. And, I'll tell you, I mean, this is probably the least amount of money that I've ever made for myself here, but it's honestly been the most fulfilling. And,
wow.
Been the most fulfilling. I mean, I enjoy going to work all the time. I enjoy the difference that we make. I mean, seriously, I get DMs to this day, like private DMs. I mean, I got a DM from like a middle schooler. And he was like, hey, I was wondering, like, I read your articles and I think it's really cool and I get really inspired by it. I'm a Vietnamese American like middle school student, and I'm reading all these stories about all these like kids being helpful to their parents, and I want to be helpful. I want to help my family make more money. Could I work with you? Could I work for you guys? And blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh my god, I don't think we can legally hire you yet, but please like keep me updated and let me know like how you are, and if there's. And so, those are the things that keep me going. And honestly, for me, look, I'm not going to lie. I mean, if we grow it into a huge monster and somebody wants to offer like a ridiculous amount of money for it, I'm definitely going to consider it. But honestly, like, I'm so grateful for everything. I mean, I'm so grateful for the fact that we can employ, Asian American writers, and and they can make a living off of this, writing about their own issues and
things that they really care about.
Yeah, what they grew up with and everything. And in the long term, look, best case scenario is this turns into like a huge company, or maybe it gets acquired. But honestly, if it can inspire like current and new generation of people to like to you know, start something similar, bigger and better than me, that's all I can hope for.
Yeah.
You know, if I can pave the way for that, you know, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to be wildly successful with this. And I think you and I share that same common thing. You know, I mean, we both have, you know, you have so much experience. You know, you have, you know, the opportunities for you are there. You know, there's so many things you could be doing with your time. But the reason why we do what we do is because, you know, go back to it, it's our time. You know, who's going to do it?
Well, yeah, and here's the lesson, everyone who's listening out there or watching. You know, sometimes in life, it's not about success in that conventional, you know, definition, which, you know, conventional meaning making a lot of money and having a huge business and, you know, this having all this recognition and fame and all of that. It's about making the difference, right? And I think, you know, our society right now is starting to get in tune with the fact that we're losing sight of making a difference, and it's all, you know, becoming very greedy and selfish. But we are starting to see people realize, wait, is that all there is to life, right? There's got to be more. And, you know, there's that, I don't know if you've ever seen this article written by a palliative care nurse. And so this is somebody who takes care of people in their final days, right? Wow. And she tracked what people were saying to her at the end of their lives. And not once did they ever say, I wish I'd, you know, worked harder or made more money, you know, or had more things. They always say, I wish I had made more of a difference in my life and given back more and spent more time with friends and family. You know, so those are the things that, you know, we should be focusing on. Unfortunately, yeah, again, in our society, it's about success. But if we can combine those two things, like we're trying to do here, right?
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I think that, you know, one of the things I think about death a lot.
Do you?
Not in a bad way. In the last like 2 years, I've been thinking about death a lot.
Really? Why?
And I think it's one of those things, like it's a destination, like Steve Jobs says, it's a destination that, you know, we all reach, right?
Yeah, inevitable.
And
sure.
You know, sometimes like I let a lot of little things get to me in my life. You know, I have a lot of, you know, anxiety issues and stuff, and I'll let little problems get to me in my life and everything. And what has really helped me is just, you know, feeling grateful for everything that's around me. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like I feel that you know, that urgency to kind of make a difference. Like when you know that you could die at any point in time. I mean, you don't know. I mean, like all of us imagine, hey, hopefully we can die very peacefully at an old age and stuff. But the reality is we do not know. We never know.
No guarantees.
And so, you know, for me, you know, yeah, it'll be great to make, you know, to be like wildly successful financially, whatever. But at the same time, like who, you know, how do you want to be remembered for? Like if you were to die today, like what do you want to be remembered for?
What's your legacy?
Yeah. And so for me, like every day, like, yeah, as a CEO, as a founder, you know, I deal with a lot of stuff every day, and there's always a problem to solve every day. But I make each day count. At the end of the day, I always ask myself, it's like, hey, what am I grateful for today? Like did I do, you know, all the things that I wanted to do, and was that, you know, as satisfied as possible, you know?
Right.
And I practice gratitude pretty much every night. I ask myself, I have like a mental list in my head. What am I grateful for? You know, my fiance, that I get to, you know, be next to her every night and wake up next to her.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that, you know, there was, getting DMs from people saying that we've made a difference into their lives, to, you know, people coming up to me, you know, on the street if they do recognize me, on like, hey, like, you know, your site has had me get through some of my tough times. Like, you know, I've been dealing with bullying in school or this in school or whatever, or my friends don't get it. You know, they
those are tangible differences that you're making in people's lives, right?
Yeah.
And that's priceless. It's like that Visa commercial. Is it Visa or MasterCard that has
commercial?
MasterCard.
MasterCard
is priceless, right?
Yeah,
you can't put a price on that. You can't put anything on that except for like, wow, this is what you're giving back to the world, and you're making a difference.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel with the work that I try to do as a journalist, of telling stories and trying to speak truth and trying to, you know, dig deeper into somebody's story or issue that might make a difference in the world.
Yeah, and again, like one thing I want to make very clear, like, you know, NextShark is the largest online publication for Asian Americans, but I never want to come out and act as if I'm the voice of all Asian Americans. I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
I love like touching lives in a positive way whatsoever, but you know what I value more is if I can inspire like one or two people to contribute themselves, to pay it forward. That's really what I'm looking towards. I don't care about, oh my God, like this, you know, we're so great because we do this. No, it's not. That's not what this is about.
It's like creating creating that ripple effect,
Yes.
right? So, one pebble thrown into the lake can create a lot of ripples, and if it's positive,
Endless ripples throughout.
endless ripples, yeah. And so, dude, you're like an old man in a young person's body or something, aren't you?
No, I don't.
Seriously, you're kind of like an old soul, I think.
I guess maybe.
Yeah, for
Well, I've heard
31
that before. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Well, listen, Benny, I mean, I think we've said this over and over. We're both so excited about this project and working together on this, and because we so believe in the mission of what we're trying to do here. And we came up with the mission statement. I'm going to read it, okay? I don't know if you remember, but the show will focus on the most impactful and relevant people who are making a real difference and contributing in their own unique way to the enhancement and elevation of the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander. The show will strike a powerful, authentic, and intimate tone, as well as pushing the envelope with challenging topics and issues that the mainstream media is too fearful to tackle. Yeah.
That's amazing. I think those are mostly your words.
No,
I think you did a great job.
No, we
doing
worked
all
on
of
that
it, yeah.
together, but I feel like that pretty much captures what we're going to try to do here.
I don't think I could have summed it up even more
Yeah.
beautiful, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, dude, I'm so excited, and I know you are too. So we're going to make this happen, and everybody, again, who's watching and listening, get excited, because we're going to have some really cool voices on this program and talk about sometimes some difficult issues, right, about our community, and hopefully get the word out that, hey, we're here, and we're here to stay, and we're here to make a difference.
I feel like we should high five after that.
Dude!
Boom.
Woo! All right, well, I think that wraps it up for now. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Me too. Thanks, Benny.
Of course.
All right, that's the Meili Show for now. Join us next time.